Today we're going to be covering these last few problems that you have on your review sheet. Remember, my goal as a teacher is to make sure you guys have all the correct answers so that you know exactly how to study for this exam. So the first one we're going to look at today is number 47. Remember, this portion of the final you are allowed to use a calculator, so just make sure when you come on Tuesday to take this exam that you have brought your own calculator. Everybody else will be taking it at the same exact time, so there will not be calculators to borrow from your friends. So make sure you've got your own calculator here, okay? First off, question number 47. A store owner wants to know how many of her 500 regular customers prefer frozen vegetables over canned vegetables. The cashier randomly asks 80 of the regular customers, and 60 of them say that they prefer frozen vegetables, and 20 of them say that they prefer canned vegetables. Estimate the number of customers who prefer frozen vegetables over canned vegetables. How many of you would say you enjoy eating vegetables? How many of you do not like vegetables? All right, so if I was to ask you if you cared if they were frozen or canned, how many of you would say you don't even know the difference? How many of you would say you like frozen vegetables more than canned? Who likes canned vegetables more than frozen? Okay, interesting. You guys look like you are a little bit different than the people in our problem because it looks like more people like canned vegetables over frozen. So there is a formula that we learned long ago. It was way back. All right, so if you're struggling with how to do this kind of a problem, you can go back to chapter 8, and it's in 8.1, okay? So write that down if this was a problem that maybe was tough for you to do. But there was a formula we learned way back then. Favorable over total, do you guys remember, equals N over the population. Okay, now remember, favorable is what you're looking for. Guys, what does the problem here ask us? What are we looking for? Very good. Okay, I want you to take your red pen or your pencil and underline this. Customers who prefer frozen vegetables. That is going to be what's favorable. That's what we're looking for. So guys, how many customers did it say liked frozen vegetables?
60.
60 right there. Okay, so I'm going to circle that. 60 out of how many total did they ask?
500.
They didn't ask all 500.
80.
They asked 80. Over or equals N over the population is how many total customers there are.
500.
That was 500. How many of you would say you did mental math on this problem? Okay, so if you remember, mental math is trying to figure out a missing link, how to get from here to there, so that we could figure out how to get from there to that N. Does anybody know what the missing link was? Kyla, what was it?
6.25.
Okay, you got 6.25. How did you get that answer?
I divided 500 from 80 and I got 6.25.
Excellent. She took her bigger number and she divided the smaller number. Okay, so that gave us the missing link. Now, in order to get here, I take that number, multiply it together, and it equals 500. So that means I also need to multiply the top number by 6.25. Kyla, when you did that, 60 times 6.25, that'll give us N. What was N?
It was 375 customers.
Okay, very good. 375 customers preferred frozen vegetables over canned vegetables. Okay, how many of you got that answer correct? If you did not, I want you to erase it and fix it. And remember, once again, if you're struggling on that, you can go back to IXL, go to chapter 8.1. There are so many problems in IXL that can help you that look exactly like this, and it could be a good review for you before we take the exam. All right, let's go on to the next one. Find the circumference. Before we do that, I want you to just give me some information. This is saying this from there to there is 22 kilometers. Guys, is that the radius or the diameter?
Diameter.
That is the diameter because remember the diameter is the longer one. It's all the way across. So, boys, what would the radius be? 11. How'd you get that? Good job. All I'm wanting to know is from this point to the edge, not the entire thing. So that would be 11 kilometers. So let's start with a formula. There's two formulas for circumference. You can use either one. Kaylin, which one would you like to use?
Pi times Diameter.
Okay, very good. And C equals pi times diameter. Kaylin, what is pi?
3.14.
And what was our diameter?
22.
When you multiplied those together, what'd you get?
69.08
And then what are your units?
kilometers.
Okay, should I square the units?
No,
No, why not?
because it's not area.
It's not the area, so you never want to square the units unless it is the area. All right, let's move on to the next one. Addison, does it give me the radius or the diameter? Okay, it has given me the radius, so what would the diameter be? 4 is correct. Which formula do you want to use for this problem? Okay, it's not C equals pi r squared, but C equals 2 times pi times r. Okay, so tell us what to plug in, Addison. Very good. When you multiply all that together, what do you get? 12.56 meters. Very good. All right, now listen. If we had instead used the formula C equals pi times D, let's plug this in. Class, what's 3.14 times 4?
12.56.
All right, do you notice that it's the same thing? Okay, so that's why that formula will work either way, because basically 2 radiuses is the same thing as 1 diameter. Okay, and you can find this if you're struggling with that in section 9.1. Remember, once again, you can go back to your notes for chapter 9, or you can go into IXL and review sections in 9.1 to help you with circumference. All right, let's move on. Now we're going to talk about the area of a circle. First things first, it gives me the diameter is 6 meters. So guys, if the diameter is 6 meters, what would the radius be?
3 meters.
It would be 3 meters. Gerard, what's the formula for finding area of a circle? A equals pi r squared. Very good. Now, remember, there's a lot of formulas on number 25 that you want to have memorized. So if you haven't made flashcards yet, use that. Some of you have already made flashcards. Use those to help you study and make sure you know these formulas, okay? Gerard, what is pi? Good job. What's the radius? 3. What should I do first? Okay, is there any work inside the parentheses? No, so what should I do next? What's the E in PEMDAS? Exponents, all right? So what is 3 squared? 9, very good. So now we're taking 3.14 and multiplying it by 9. When you do that, what do you get? All right, guys, what did we get for that one? There we go. Okay, why did we square the meters? Because it asks you to find the area. Okay, let's go on to the next one. It has given us a radius of 16. So guys, what would the diameter be? It would be 32. Okay, now, Anson, what is the formula for finding area of a circle? A equals pi r squared. Anson, help me out with this one. What do I do?
For your r, it would be 16. Yeah, 3 14 times 16. So, and 2 at top, which would 16 times 16 would equal 256.
Okay, very good. So he's telling us that we need to do the exponents first. And what'd you say it equals?
256.
Okay. And then multiply those together, and what do you get?
803.84 millimeters squared.
Very good. Any questions on how we found that area? Okay, moving on to the next ones. Classify the angle. So that means tell us what kind of an angle it is. Justice, what kind of an angle is this? Supplementary. Now, Justice, tell me the things that you know about supplementary angles. Okay, very good. It's going to equal 180 degrees. So that means anytime you have this straight line like this, that is going to equal 180. Okay? I know one of them. I know what this one is, but I don't know this one. So how would I find out what that is? Okay, so she knows we're going to take 117 plus x, and what is that going to equal? 180, very good. How do I get x by itself?
Subtract 117 on both sides.
Great. What's your answer?
X equals 62 degrees.
Very good. Okay, so that means if I was trying to find what this would be, it would be 63. And once again, if you go back and double check, add those two together and it should equal 180. If it does, then you know that you did it correct. All right, Heather, what kind is the next kind of angle? Vertical angles. How can you tell that those are vertical angles? Okay, very good. All right, vertical angles always look like an X. All right, so what do we know about vertical angles? Who can help me with that?
The same thing on both sides.
Correct. Vertical angles equal the same thing on both sides. So that means this equals the same thing as that. So I can say x plus 3 equals 84. Okay? Zariana, how do I get x by itself?
Subtract by 3.
Good job. So what's our answer?
81.
81 what?
Degrees.
81 degrees is correct. On to the next one. We've had supplementary angles. We've had vertical angles. Guys, what kind is this?
Complementary.
Complementary. Kaylin, what do we know about complementary angles?
It always has a right angle equals 90 degrees.
All right, very good. It always has a right angle. It's going to equal 90 degrees. How can you tell this is a right angle?
It has that box.
It has this little box. That little box tells us, hey, this is 90 degrees. So what that's saying is this amount plus this amount is going to equal 90 degrees. So you can take the first one, 31, plus x plus 4 equals 90 degrees. Now, if you look on the left-hand side, these are both constants, and that's a variable. So let's combine those like terms together. Aubrey, what would I do if I'm combining those?
You'll add 31 to 4.
Okay, what is 31 plus 4?
35.
35. And then we're going to bring that x down, equals 90 degrees. Keep going, Aubrey.
Then you minus 35 on both sides. So x would equal 55 degrees.
You are correct. How many of you got that one correct on your own when you did it for homework? Okay, if you did not, please erase it and fix it. If you're having a hard time with these angles, go back to 9.5, okay? Once again, IXL or your notes, this can help you. Go back through there, go over some of those problems to help you do better on that section. Okay, so these last 4 problems that we have come from chapter, guess what it is? 10. This was our final chapter that we discussed in class, okay? So the very first one. A lot of people just said it was a rectangle. That's not a rectangle because it's not a flat shape. What is that, guys?
A rectangular prism.
All right, remind me, how many bases does a rectangular prism have?
2. Wait, yes. How many faces?
2 bases. It has a bottom and a top. You can look at this shape that I have right here. This has a top, this has a bottom. Those are my bases, okay? Let's go to the next one. How many bases does number 56 have?
1.
Only 1 base, so what shape does it have to be? A pyramid. And that is the difference between this next one. This next one, how many bases does it have?
2.
It has 2, okay? There's one on the bottom, but there is also another identical base on the top. So what is 57 called? It is a triangular prism. Please make sure on your exam that you understand the difference between a pyramid and a triangular prism. And the biggest difference is their bases. Okay? Also, a pyramid, we know all of the sides or the lateral faces comes up to make one point at the top of a pyramid. Finally, number 58, what shape do we have?
Cylinder.
It is a cylinder. How many bases does a cylinder have?
2.
It has 2. What shape is that base? It is a circle. So guys, remember your final is going to be on Tuesday of next week. Use this study guide to help you understand, and please go back and also use IXL.